Hello and welcome to National Park Wild. I'm Eric, and as I've made clear in my last two videos, Yellowstone National Park is my absolute favorite. There is more to do here than any other national park. So I thought before getting into Grand Teton and other parks I went to in 2020, I would rank my top 10 favorite things to do at Yellowstone. This is mostly going to be a ranking of what the best attractions are, and different areas more than I like hiking and fishing and wildlife viewing. It's gonna be best areas and hikes. So before we begin, I hope you will consider subscribing to the channel. It is free and really helps keep support up. Now with that out of the way, let's begin the ranking. Alright, number 10, Black Sand Basin. I'm sure a few of you have heard of this one. It's a geyser basin that is kinda close to midway where Grand Prismatic Spring is. It's much less crowded, has some cool geysers that erupt a decent height, some nice features. I'm a huge sucker for the geothermal features, one of my favorite kind of natural sights I can see. And this is definitely a great geyser basin. Not the best at Yellowstone, but some great colorful pools, nice surrounding scenery, somewhat quiet along a river. Definitely a great area. Number 9, another geothermal area, Artist Paint Pots. These are also excellent. There's a bit more to them. There's some bubbling mud and bubbling water, and there's a bit more of a hike to it. I like that quite a bit. This area is very, very nice, quiet, just a really, really great area of Yellowstone. There's a lot more I can talk about with this one. Lots of color to it, plenty of different features. Not quite as many as some of the others, though. Number 8 is the much more well-known Norris Geyser Basin. The first time I went to Yellowstone, I did get to see Steamboat erupt quite a bit. That was very awesome. The rest of the area is cool too. There's a lot of different pools of many colors. We saw an elk last time we went. It's just a really nice area with a lot of geothermal features and a very nice setting. It's a bit more quiet than some of the other geyser basins, I think, and I really, really enjoy it. Number 7, the very popular Mammoth Hot Springs. There's almost always elk here, that's a plus. And the actual hot springs are amazing. They're stacked on different levels, and it looks like a staircase with water cascading down. That's really cool. When I last went, there was actually a deer walking on the hot springs. I'd never seen that before. And given that this is the north part of Yellowstone, the hot springs are actually surrounded by mountains. That is such a beautiful sight. You can look out really far from the top. It's wheelchair accessible. It's a very popular area of Yellowstone for good reason. Number 6 is Bunsen Peak. This hike is incredibly underrated. When I went to the park, I was originally going to do Mount Washburn, a much more popular and well-known trail. However, it was closed due to some road construction. So instead, I did Bunsen Peak, which was fantastic. From the top, I could see all of Mammoth Hot Springs. I could see into Lamar Valley, and all the way to Grand Teton National Park down south. There's plenty of mountains all around, some pretty cool rock formations as you're going up. A perfectly clear day, very nice view, incredibly underrated hike. It's not as long as Mount Washburn, and I'd say you should definitely do it if you're up for a hike when you go to Yellowstone. It's actually really, really fantastic. Number 5, West Thumb Geyser Basin and the Yellowstone Lake area in general. Lake Overlook Trail is nice. We saw an elk. The mountains surrounding Yellowstone Lake are beautiful, and it's a massive, stunning lake that you're at. And right next to the water is a geyser basin. That is awesome. There's some geysers and fumaroles inside of the lake. That is a truly amazing sight. Some of the pools seem infinitely deep and super colorful, massive, bright blue. It's one of the most surreal sights in Yellowstone National Park, and easily one of my favorites. Number 4, Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. Another pretty popular area, and was definitely my favorite on my first trip. It is stunning. Golden canyon walls, fantastic at sunset, massive waterfall going down. I know it's not quite as good as the actual Grand Canyon per se, but that one's a lot bigger, and it's the single-star attraction of its park. Here, it's the 4th best in my opinion. It's really beautiful. When I went, there was actually a bunch of cicadas flying out, so I guess I chose an interesting time to go. Plenty of bison and elk around the area. Multiple waterfalls. It's a truly stunning sight. One of the most photogenic areas of the park by far. Top 3. Number 3 is the Upper Geyser Basin, home to the world-famous Old Faithful. Old Faithful is certainly the star here. Getting to see it erupt is fantastic, but it's also not the only thing here. There are other geysers, colorful pools. Some large ones like Beehive and Castle Geyser are really cool. It can be crowded, but if you go in the evening, it'll be quiet, kinda feel very personal, and it'll seem like a place to yourself. Staying here for the night is great because you can walk right up to it from where you're staying and see the geysers erupt. When I went, it was somewhat early evening, so the sun was low, but not so low that it was sunset, and the water in front of the sun, because it was in the west behind the geyser, the water appeared as a shadow. That was the coolest thing I saw in Yellowstone, period. Really, really fantastic. This is just an amazing sight, and there's a reason it's one of the most famous at Yellowstone. Sunset here was gorgeous, and seeing Old Faithful from the observation point way above is really cool as well. There's so much to do in this area. It can be crowded, but other than that, it's just a fantastic area. Number 2, the top geyser basin, is Midway. Midway Geyser Basin is home to Grand Prismatic Spring, the single most beautiful site at Yellowstone National Park. Stunning size and colors, the coolest hot spring in the world by far that I've seen. There's also plenty of other geysers around. There's this large sort of crater looking thing I'm gonna call it that has some tiny waterfalls going in, and those feed into a river. There's a lot to see here. Walking right up to Grand Prismatic is great. There's a hike that goes to a great waterfall. This area is just absolutely beautiful. It can be crowded, but you must go here if you go to Yellowstone. Easily a highlight. That said, number 1, I had to give it to Lamar Valley. I didn't even go to Lamar on my first trip, and that was a mistake. Lamar is fantastic. As far as scenery goes, it does not quite beat out Midway or Upper Geyser Basins in my opinion, or even a couple of the others way below it. That said, wildlife is where this shines. This is known as the American Serengeti for good reason. The animals I saw in this particular area are bison, wolves, coyotes, pronghorn antelope, and quite a few other mammals. This is absolutely fantastic. I should also point out one place that was going to be on here that kinda I lump in with Lamar, and that's why it's number 1, that's Hayden Valley. It's not the same place, but that's a place where I saw wolves and bald eagles and bison. It's another great wildlife place. Lamar, in my opinion, is superior, but I do still want to kind of mention Hayden Valley. But I saw coyotes all around this area. There's some pretty cool mountain scenery, waterfalls. It's along the Lamar River, very beautiful. Hayden Valley is very nice too. So if you lump these two together, it's definitely my favorite, and even if you just put Lamar separately, I think because I love wildlife, it's probably my favorite area in the park. The amount of wildlife is unmatched. There's so many places that you can go to. I saw a black bear just outside Lamar Valley. It's fantastic. If you're going to Yellowstone, I'd say Lamar and Hayden Valleys are the 2 places you should go to if you can only go to 2. Even over the geyser areas. And I'm serious. They are just absolutely fantastic. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this ranking. Comment down below your thoughts. Like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe to help support the channel. I'll see you next time.